Okay, B'siyat Tishmai Perek Mem Gewaldik. So the Emma says this Perek over here is going to conclude the sugya of Kavana. So if you were having trouble going backwards and forwards with the Indian of Kavana, this Perek is going to be the last Perek that discusses this Barichas. And specifically, we were discussing previously that our Torah and mitzvahs are basically Tanya and Kavana. When we have Kavana, they go up. When they don't have Kavana, they don't go up. How much they go up and what schleps them up, that's already Tanya and Tshuva. It depends on if you're doing it Lishma afterwards and everything else. So we're kind of going along with the same sugya in Perek Mem, but more talking about how what we do fits into the Esser spheres, the Yud spheres, which of course are very, very deep understandings of how the Rabbanim Shem characteristics of the world. Zez the Balatanya. Kol zman shaloi choza v'lomad dova zel lishma. Meaning, when you learned kol shaloi lishma, kol zman you didn't relearn this thing lishma. Ein limudoi oila, this limud that you did previously that was shaloi lishma does not arise, it doesn't go up, doesn't elevate. Afilu beyud sviros hami'iros ba'olam hayetzira ba'asiyah. Even into the 10 spheres, right? We know that every spiritual world actually consists of the 10 spheres, and that's the way that the Rabbanim Shem sort of like runs the world, so to speak, I guess in an easy way. We all know that inside us we have 10 spheres, right? We've got the Chacham bin of Das over here, you got the Chesed, you got Gvur Tfes, and everything else. Ki ha-spheres heim bechenes halakus, overhem mislabesh u'misyachad or ein soy baruch hu mamish. That's how the Ma'aseh the Rabbeinu Shalom, so to speak, is mislabish or misyached the or ein soif into a person who below techidu rachimu la yachla lesalaka or lemekem kodam Hashem. Without the chilu or rachimu, without this love, this intense burning love, without this fear, this reverence, whatever it is, nothing's able to go up. Like the Zohar Kodesh says, Rak limudei oila lehecholois u'moidrin shehein chitzonius ha'ilamos shebahem oindim hamalachim. That means your general natural Torah that you learn cannot go to these 10 spiritual spheres that we're talking about. It only goes really to a bit of a superficial, a chitzonius sort of world where the malachim are. Right? Because, and at the end of the day, since that's not the tachlos of the world, that's why we call it chetzonis, like superficial. Just like Rabbi Chaim Vital writes, B'sharon Avur Perek Beis, Shema Torah Shelo B'Kavana. Torah without Kavana, Nivroim Malachim Ba'olam HaYitzira, automatically creates Malachim in the world called Yitzira. That's Torah. Mitzvahs b'li kavana. When you do a mitzvah without kavana, nivroim malachim ba'olam ha'asiyah. So of course it does rise up, and it rises up to the level of malachim, but not all the way to the Rabbeinu Shalom. V'chol malachim heim ba'alei choyma v'tzura. And all the malachim over here at the end of the day, of course it doesn't mean bali tzura, meaning in a physical sense. Malachim are not in a physical sense, but it means they're make up of different energies, and that's what it's going to. Avol, Torah shaloi lishma mamash. When a person learns Torah shaloi lishma bichlal, kigoin. What's the example of learning shaloi lishma? Liyos tamil chacham akai gavna. The only purpose of you learning Torah is for one reason only. I want to become a Talmid Chacham. I want to be called a Talmid Chacham. I want to have that name, whatever it may be, the covet, the respect, whatever. It doesn't even get to that madriga. So it's even lower. Ella, what happens to it? It remains down here in the physical world, which we spoke a little bit about that at the end of yesterday. I'll pause the pasuk in Kedah. Says, "My Yisroin la'odam b'chol amalai." What does it help? All the amelas, the work, the toil. Sheyamol tachas hashemesh. It didn't help. Didn't go anywhere. Da'afilu amolo doraisa yo'avad begin the yikari. In other words, he doesn't even bring any honor to himself. Nothing. Zeh sha'omu ashrei mi shebolakan. Ashrei mi shebolakan v'talmudei b'yadai. Everyone knows the famous Marsha over there, right? Marsha's over there when you write things down. That's Talmudei B'Yodei. But the Tanya over here is telling us a point that Asher Mitzakam Talmudei B'Yodei Perish. What does that mean? When you really learn properly, nothing is left in this world. If you don't, then it kind of remains here. Now the Tanya is going to ask a kasha. What's his kasha? He's going to ask a kasha, and the idea that he just said, we just said that Torah without kavana can't really rise and stand in front of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Don't we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah are really one? So if that's the case, why is it that Torah B'loi Kavana doesn't rise and stand in front of the Melech Malach HaMelachim? Shu Tzoni Echad. The Torah and Hashem's Ratzon is one. Harei Kudshabrichu Iu Memale Kol Olmin B'Shava V'Avapikein Ein Olam Shavim B'Malosan. At the end of the day, true, but not all worlds are equal in their level. V'Hashinoihu Ma Mekablim. That's the Shinu is the receiver. So since over here, what we're saying over here is that since Torah and mitzvahs take place over here in this very earthly world, and therefore it needs some kind of boost to go all the way up, that boost can only happen if it's done with kavana, then it allows it to go to the higher worlds. But base beginners, there are two different beginners that we're discussing. Number one, that means the higher worlds are makabel, a higher degree of light that we simply can't understand. There's no end when it comes to Tachtonim. But Hashem is the second one, is shemakablim b'li levushim. There's no levush. Levush is literally obviously a clothing, but here discussing filters, no veils or anything like that, right? So hest upon him. U'mesachin rabim al kolkach kebetachtoinim. So therefore, we're saying over here, this light, this energy that controls basically all the worlds, has a certain hesta, has a certain simsum, and each world has a different effect that it goes to. Right? This world that we live in is a very low world on both beginners, both in Simsumim and Hestaponim. Meaning the whole reason why the world that we live in, that we see, is so physical, is because the light, the famous divine light that we're discussing, is so diminished, it's so diluted. Even when this diminished light, Lamaisa, is covered, it's covered with so many layers, so many levushim, so many veils. As well. And of course we are included in that, which is the nefesh Bahamis, which is inside a speaking human being. So the emes is, there's a lot more to do. We're going to stop over here, because then it gets into the sugya of how to plug that in. Mit Hashem, next week we shall continue with Siyata D'Shmaya.